Port Moresby seeing a surge in COVID-19. Jamie Peng acquitted of dangerous drugs. And Southern Highlands and Hela benefit from government funds. Good evening and welcome. This is Friday's news. I'm Kilawani. A surge in COVID-19 is re-emerging at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Of 250 tests conducted by the hospital in the last week, over 150 tested positive. Dr. Connie Sobi, Director of Medical Services at the country's major referral hospital, said this in a news conference today. Port Moresby General Hospital, the country's biggest referral hospital, announced the big city is experiencing a fourth wave of COVID-19. Dr. Connie Sobi, Director of Medical Services at the hospital, said today marks 8 days of the surge.
Daily we've been tracking, and our tracking rates daily have since the 1st of December has been sitting around 5 to 10%. On January 21st, we noticed a sharp rise in the testing rates from 5-10% to 28%. As of yesterday or the last 24 hours, our testing positive rates are about 80%. So meaning 8 out of 10%, 10 people tested. Those seeking medical attention at Pomgen were turning out positive.
PMGH says in the last week alone, about 250 COVID tests have been conducted, 150 of which turned out positive. That's a positivity rate of 60% in 1 week alone. While sample results sent overseas may take some time to return, to confirm whether this surge is predominantly the new Omicron variant, Dr. Sobi says they can only safely assume it is.
Those results may take maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we get the results back from Moresby with regards to which variant it is. So in answer to the short answer to this, we don't know what it is. We can only assume, safely assume it's Omicron. Because of the high, we've gone from 10% to 80% in a matter of 5 days here. We can only assume.
As data shows an increase in reported cases at the hospital staff are also being affected, with 50 staff testing positive yesterday.
As of yesterday, or this morning, we have about 50 of our staff, medical, nursing and the corporate, the cleaners, have tested positive. So that's how quick. We have not experienced this in the first two surges where so many number of staff have become infected.
Currently, there are 23 inpatients admitted at the hospital's isolation ward, with a record of 5 admissions per day in the last 3 days.
At this point in time, none of the patients in COVID-19 isolation ward is on ventilator. Half of the patients are on single source of oxygen. The other half are in room air, but clinicians and medical personnel are attending to their other underlying medical conditions.
Police have arrested a Robert Petrus from Hanganofi in Eastern Highlands Province. He is accused as being part of the gang involved in the armed robbery at a private clinic in Port Moresby. After seeing still images of the robbers released on Police NCD Central Divisional Command Facebook page, the public called in and identified Petrus. He was wearing a shirt and shoes identical to the one seen in the crime video. A homemade gun was also recovered. On Wednesday, members of the 520 Bravo unit attached to Gordon's police station set up surveillance and successfully apprehended him. He has been charged and is now in police custody. Papua New Guinea has increased its score in the Transparency International Corruption Percentage Index by 15%. The country moved up the international ranking from 142nd to 124th place as its highest ranking in a decade. This was announced today by the Minister for Justice, Brian Kramer.
It's a minor improvement for the country's score from previous years in the Corruption Perceptions Index, or CPI. PNG moved up 18 places from 142 in 2020 to rank at 124 out of 180 countries in 2021.
This ranking placed PNG ahead of major economies, including Russia, Cambodia, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and only slightly behind the Philippines. The jump in PNG score from 27 to 31 demonstrates the reforms implemented by the Marape government are working.
According to Minister for Justice Brian Kramer, the country hit its lowest scores between 2011 and 2015.
The Marape government moved decisively to correct these errors, and the results are now being seen by our citizens and the international community. This is particularly notable during the COVID-19 pandemic. 131 countries made no progress towards transparency and human rights in 2020-2021. In contrast, PNG increased its score by 15% and leaped 18 places on the index.
The Corruption Perceptions Index, or CPI, is the most widely used global measurement for corruption in the world. It measures how corrupt each country's public sector is perceived to be, according to experts and business people. While the minister is happy with the slight improvement, he says there is still more effort needed for the country to be corruption-free.
We've all noted there has been significant reform within both policing, and now we are seeing also within legislation reform in the areas of human rights protection, recent repealing of the death penalty, as well as strengthening governance structures. Even with the Department of Justice, we have overhauled the AG Act and addressed this issue of brief-outs and the millions of kina that have raised issues that have never been addressed in the past. So we're now strengthening legislative reform to address that. And the only issue now is also looking in the area of improving prosecution.
Kramer says he is looking forward in working closely with the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the public prosecutor to minimize corruption in the country. Podivai National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, Prime Minister James Marape leads a high-level delegation to Mendi, Southern Highlands. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister James Marape today opened the renovated and upgraded Kapuna Rural Hospital in Kikori district of Gulf Province. Through the PNG Australia Partnership Incentive Fund, the Kapuna Hospital was upgraded with new and improved healthcare facilities for the people of Purari Delta. This was delivered in partnership with Gulf Christian Services. Present also was Gulf Governor Chris Haiveta and Australian High Commissioner John Philp. The improved facilities boast services including radiology equipment, a biochemical analysis unit, a physiotherapy unit, dental clinic, maternity ward and counseling facilities. A plaque was also unveiled by Prime Minister Marape and the Australian High Commissioner. The upgrade of the Kapuna Rural Hospital cost 10 million kina with funding from the Australian government. Close to 1 billion kina has been set aside for road and infrastructure projects in Southern Highlands Province. Another announcement by the government is the 4.27% PNG LNG Croton equity for Hela and Southern Highlands Provinces. Prime Minister James Marape revealed this in Mendi yesterday, saying these are long overdue projects that the two resource-rich provinces deserve.
Prime Minister James Marape and a high-level delegation of state ministers, heads of departments and host Governor William Powi converged in Southern Highlands this week for the launching of several multi-million kina roads and infrastructure projects in the province. The Prime Minister officiated at the groundbreaking ceremony for a new provincial hospital valued at 300 million kina. The hospital will have specialist doctors and machines to cater for the whole of Southern Highlands, while the current Mendi Hospital will serve the people of Mendi Munihi. This is one of 22 new provincial specialist hospitals that will be built nationwide under this government. He also gave the Provincial Health Authority 10 million kina for the upgrading of Mendi Hospital.
Specialist doctor belong serving province and bagam sinan one kind of miblala work in Hela housing, Kerama housing belong Gulf, Kimbe housing belong Kimbe, Manus now some province where no got good housing staff, 22 good provincial housing will make him, but blow you long Southern Highlands, he go ahead finish.
Moresby also launched the 221 million kina Mandi to Nipa road project, 58 kilometers of road that hasn't been sealed for close to 25 years since the start of Moro gas field and later the resource projects. The Prime Minister was emotional, stating Hela and Southern Highlands has been developing PNG through its resources and has been neglected by past governments. He said his people deserve such multi-million kina projects and benefits.
So it is a road that is necessitated by the resource project to give value and give token of appreciation back to the Hela and South Highlands people who've been a good custodian of the projects that has continued to bless our country with.
A local contractor, Oceanic Construction, was contracted to rehabilitate and seal the current Mandi to Nipa road, while another local contractor, Ipwens, will seal the Nipa to Magarima section of the Highlands Highway. It is a 247 million kina road project.
Now because program moving more than 58 kilometers and continuous funding and maintenance and you take for 3-4 years, it's not working. The government is scaling all the road infrastructure, all ports, seaports, all the scaling go through.
Meanwhile, Governor William Powie praised the Prime Minister and NEC for agreeing to give back the 4.27% of PNG LNG Croton equity to Hela and Southern Highlands Province. 1% of the Croton equity is worth $240 million. This equity has been diverted by past governments in repaying the controversial UBS loan. Powie said it needs strong leadership in the government to make such tough decisions to bring impact projects and give money belonging to the people of Hela and Southern Highlands.
Leadership, not politicians. Strong leadership to bring this kind of things. So thank you, Long Robert Poso, our Yublo leader. You make and talk. If we had not changed government, this law something by none have come up. Let me tell you this. That's what I stood for.
The Prime Minister also launched the Mandi Airport redevelopment project and the Mandi Town Road sealing. Vasanata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Despite police finding a mini-lab that produces a globally known dangerous drug known as methamphetamine, Australian businessman Jamie Pang was acquitted by the Boracay District Court. The court made the decision simply because PNG did not have a law that classified methamphetamine as a dangerous drug.
Boracay District Court this week acquitted Australian businessman Jamie Pang from 2 charges relating to the production and possession of methamphetamine. Methamphetamine, or meth, is known globally as a highly dangerous drug because of its long-term effects to the consumer's health and mental state over time. After months of investigation, a special police investigation unit led by Donald Yamasombi used a court-ordered search warrant to raid Sanctuary Hotel where Pang works as the operations manager. The raid, which took place on the 16th of November 2021, found a mini methamphetamine lab in one of the hotel rooms and the drug itself, including weapons and ammunitions. Pang was initially charged for being in possession of the firearms and the ammunition without having a license, a procedural requirement error that Pang had failed to comply with in owning weapons. He appeared in court and paid a 130,000 kina fine. Police then arrested and charged him under the Dangerous Drug Act 1952, Sections 3(1)(b) makes a dangerous drug and 3(1)(d) possession of dangerous drug. The decision was handed down this week and Pang has been acquitted. The court order reads: 1. The defendant is acquitted and discharged from the charges under Section 3(1)(b) and 3(1)(d) of the Dangerous Drug Act, as the drug methamphetamine is not prescribed as a dangerous drug under the Dangerous Drug Act, Chapter 228. to the subsidiary legislation containing the list of dangerous drug is not the law, as it does not prescribe an act of which a crime and a penalty provision to it, and further, no evidence of how this subsidiary came into existence is absent, and the Dangerous Drug Act does not recognize the existence of this subsidiary legislation. 3. The defendant's passport, laptop or computer or anything else that has been confiscated by police to be returned immediately, and 4. The defendant's bail of 5,000 kina to be refunded. So is police going to rearrest Pang following the passing of the new Controlled Substance Act that does name methamphetamine as a dangerous drug? Well, the short answer is no. Yamasombi explains that because the bust took place before the passing of the new law, Pang won't be arrested again. Shamin Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
There are many resource projects in the Highlands region of Papua New Guinea. This has resulted in increased number of people traveling to the Highlands region from overseas, and therefore the need for immigration services has become demanding, particularly throughout Mount Hagen's Kagamega International Airport. Hence, a new immigration office was opened today in Mount Hagen by Minister for Immigration and Border Security Wesley Nukunj and witnessed by Western Highlands Governor Pius Winty. We go live now to reporter Dennis Orere in Mount Hagen.
Thank you, Kila. Yes, there's some showers here in Mount Hagen, some afternoon showers, but it was very fine weather here in Mount Hagen earlier today. Particularly, it was a day of celebration, particularly for the business community of Mount Hagen City. The reason being that a new office, the Immigration Citizenship Authority, opened a new office that was opened today. It's located in the Hagen City Central area, where a lot of state agencies and key agencies are located as well. Now, today, during that office opening, which is now been upgraded from a provincial, Western Highlands Provincial Immigration Office, it's now been upgraded to a regional status, where it will serve, this office will serve the entire Highlands region. At the opening of the office today, which the Minister for Immigration and Border Security, who is also the member for Day Open, Wesley Nukunj, he spoke at the opening ceremony and cut the ribbon to the new office, saying that it is very important for the office to be in place to serve the entire Highlands region for two particular major reasons, apart from the many reasons that the office has been open for. And one is that it's to cut costs for people in the Highlands region always going to Port Moresby, where the visa and passport processing, as well as work permits, are being processed there all the time. So now it's been it's part of the plans. So it will come back to that. So now let's hear from the Minister for Immigration and Border Security, Wesley Nukunj, who spoke at the event today.
When we see expatriates here, I don't need to preach here, but when you see expatriates here, they come into the country through Immigration Department, and that's the only gateway. So Immigration Department is the gateway for all foreigners to come into the country as tourists, or as relatives, or as workers, or missionaries. So the department plays a very important role in the country. So Prime Minister James Moresby was not wrong to appoint me as the minister for this department. And he has issued certain key priority areas for us to cover with the Chief Migration Officer. On the 13th of January, I think it's 2020, he came to our office and he asked us to reform the department. This is exactly what we are doing. We are reforming the department. And everyone throughout the country knows that Prime Minister Moresby's message is very clear. Want to take back PNG. How can you take PNG back? When you bring immigration services to the doorsteps of the people, that's taking back PNG. That's taking back PNG. So what we are basically doing now is the vision of the current Moresby-Basil government.
Yeah, so the other major reason for the office being opened is the increasing demand for immigration services here in the Highlands region. And so with a lot of resource projects in the area, we have an influx of foreigners coming in and moving in and out. So here with this office opening, it will service the entire Highlands region. So the Immigration and Citizenship Authority also has plans to open similar regional offices in other parts of the country. Back to you, Kila.
Thank you, Dennis. That was Dennis Orr live from Mount Hagen. And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2775, $0.3862 Australian dollars, $0.2390 euro, and 31.23 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed higher, copper closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, palm oil closed higher, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. Back home, the Independent Consumer and Competition Commission concluded a week-long workshop for business development officers from East Sepik, Simbu, and the Autonomous Region of Bougainville recently. The training will equip participants to act as agents for ICCC in their respective provinces.
A total of 12 participants from the East Sepik Province, Simbu Province, and the Autonomous Bougainville Government participated in a week-long induction workshop and training by the ICCC in Port Moresby. The workshop is aimed to equip participants with necessary skills and knowledge to perform delegated duties and responsibilities on behalf of ICCC in their respective provinces.
We have trained you to become an analyst. We have now trained you to become a principal analyst. And that is something that we did in these trainings. And I'm pretty sure you have captured all this from the consumer protection out to conduct investigation.
The 12 participants are grateful to their respective provincial government and autonomous government, including ICCC, for allowing them to participate in this week-long workshop. They assured their respective provinces that they will do their best to ensure the training they have received is utilized well.
Checking all price blow basic goods stores plus all PMB fares na disla say how blow checking all disla all service station fuel price na honorable when work blow so time blow back in the province blow but me like was agent blow ICCC law province.
Each participant was presented with a certificate of authorization and participation, including official identification cards and uniforms from the ICCC.
You are now given a bush knife as paid now to get out into this field. But as you walk that rugged terrain, the mountains, the highlands as you travel, lest you forget. You are us, and ICCC is always going you everywhere.
Joy Olali, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. All the details when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Papua New Guinea Football Association has named their final travelling squad of 25 for its upcoming tournaments and qualifiers for the World Cup. The announcement was made yesterday with the team to be led by skipper David Muta.
The Papua New Guinea Football Association yesterday made the official announcement of the PNG men's national football team. Although the selection process was criticized, the squad is blended with youth and experience, which will be led by skipper David Muta. Kapinato said the team had ample time to prepare, despite PNG FA not coming out to the media often to give updates.
So within those time of not allowing media to come, I think our team has been working very tirelessly, improvising of how we can prepare this team in the pandemic, of not playing against other countries and finding where we can stand. But I'd like to take my hat off from our technical department, who's been working in close, trying to prepare the team, bringing Nicola in as well. It is something very challenging, not only for us, but our country, 11 members around these regions who are trying to go to the World Cup.
Kapinato added that due to the current worldwide COVID-19 crisis, FIFA and OFC have now allowed teams to register unlimited number of players for a tournament in case there is a replacement of a player or players who may be tested positive for COVID-19 symptoms during the tournament. Therefore, PNG FA have registered an unbounded list of up to 60 players on the COMET system, besides the final 25 travelling players.
The ones that are missed out, they'll be on standby in case of any injuries or anything like that. They will be on call to get in their place. So all these names will go before FIFA and OFC so that they're registered for this World Cup qualifying in Qatar.
With the men's team now named, Kapinato said the women's team is yet to be announced and will be made known soon.
Women's squad will not be announced because we're waiting. Their qualification comes in June for the nations, the 11 nations, 10 nations, excluding New Zealand. The 10 nations will play off in June of this year, so that then that is intercontinental playoff later on when OFC and FIFA announce the date. But I think we've got a good roadmap for the women to get into the 2023 World Cup.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
A lawn bowls club in the nation's capital has plans to introduce the sport to school-aged children. Bisini Lawn Bowls Club executives say the sport is not only reserved for adults or old people, as perceived by many children and youths.
Like many sporting clubs, the Bisini Lawn Bowls Club in Port Moresby is slowly getting back up after 2 years of interrupted games due to COVID-19. Recently, the club held its annual general meeting and voted in the club executives with Andy Agavala as the president.
One of the requirements before National Federation AGM is all clubs must be formally have their own executive in place, which we are just conforming to the Constitution. Hence, we held the AGM last Saturday to elect our office bearers.
Among their priorities to reopen the club and commence games, it plans to introduce the sport to school-aged children.
We're targeting schools around within the vicinity. Example, Babaroko, Caritas, and probably Pomis and Coronation Community School. We're trying to introduce the sport as one of the sport.
The sport is not only for grown-ups or old people as many perceived.
Because bowling is everyone's sport. It's not an old man's sport. I mean, we perceive that bowling is for old people only. No, time has changed. I think we should encourage more children, all age, and likewise
mature people too. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the club will open its 2022 season this Saturday with Gala Day. New normal protocols are strictly to be observed.
This Saturday we're having our opening of the club Gala Day. We'll be formally opening the greens, and then we'll start the session. Our primary focus for the club going forward is to develop the sport.
With competition starting this weekend, the club is sending an open invitation to residents in Port Moresby to join the club, and all ages are welcome. More information on the club can be obtained on their Facebook page, Bicini Lawn Balls. Mary Ronnie, Trukai Sports.
A small Balimo compound in Kiunga, Western Province, came alive as players and supporters participated in a mini sports tournament on Thursday. School children and youths from Ward 5 of Kiunga Urban LLG and surrounding settlements played touch footy and volleyball games. In men's touch, Team NKD defeated Star 5 points to 2. Team 2-6 defeated Tower Boys with 1 point to 0. Kobonis and Bottles drew with 3 points each, and Middle East defeated M-Dogs with 2 points to 1. In women's touch, M-Dogs defeated NKD Girls with 5 points to 1. Kobonis defeated NKD with 3 points to 2, and 2-6 Girls defeated Star 5 with 5 points to 1. The knockouts for all 9 participating teams in touch footy and 7 teams in volleyball games continues this weekend. Organizing chairman Benjamin Dupa said the aim of the tournament is to keep youths busy and out of trouble.
We kept it till this year 2022. We started hosting this mini tournament within Kiunga itself, but it's Ward 5. And we have a comprising of teams from other wards area participating. Actually, the bottom line of these games here is to keep the youth busy, make sure that they is trouble-free, everyone is intake, no one is doing silly things like alcohol and drugs and other unnecessary things. Keep them busy and make them their physical fitness, make sure that they are okay. So the bottom line why we are running these games is to make the youth busy so that no one is in trouble.
That ends Trukai Sports, the weekend's weather forecast after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: southern region, Port Moresby and Kerma, mostly fine, partly cloudy; Daru, mostly fine; Alotau and Popondetta, cloudy periods with some showers. For the Mamasa region, Ley, mostly cloudy; Medang, cloudy periods with evening showers; Wewak and Vanimo, partly cloudy with chances of a shower or two. For the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kavieng, mostly fine, partly cloudy; Kokopo, Robal and Kimbe, partly cloudy with some showers; and Buka, mostly cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms. For the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Gorka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with showers and possible thunderstorms; Mendi and Wabeg, morning fog clearing into cloudy periods with showers. Forecast for small crabs for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru, seas 1 to 2 meters, rising to 2.5 meters. Waters of Daru to Gulf of Papua to Hood Point to Samarai Islands, seas 1 to 2 meters, rising to 2.5 meters along Hood Point. Waters of Samarai Islands to eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 1 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Milne Bay Islands to Cape Vogo to Hewan Gulf to Finchafen, with waters of Long Island to Karkar to Bogia to Wewak to Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands and New Island, with waters of East New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of West New Britain, seas 1 to 1.5 meters, rising to 2.5 meters along the western tip of West New Britain. Ocean forecast for PNG areas: Coral Sea, seas moderate with northwest to southwest winds of 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, seas light to moderate with northwest to westerly winds of 10 to 20 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas light with northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas light with northeast to northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The way it is this Friday, 28th of January 2022. On behalf of the news team, I'm Kilawani. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye for now.